Hey everyone, Adam here, So Wizard Podcast. I'm sitting down with Matt and Noah, who of course have been on the show a couple times before, and they're joined by Clint, who was working with them on their latest book, Cosmic Caveman. How's everybody doing?
Doing great, thanks.
I never know how to direct these with so many people.
Yeah.
You always do a good job.
Oh, thank you. As people who have been watching the interviews for a while now, Matt and Noah, you guys are cranking out comics. I mean, I don't think a day goes by where there's not like a new thing somewhere on Instagram or somewhere, just constantly going, which is awesome. Clint, how did you get involved with these guys and start making books?
Me and Noah met on Instagram, became BFFs forever.
And were you making comics independently before?
Yeah, comics and illustrations and things like that. I think, mutually loved Star Wars, so that kind of brought us together.
It brings all my friends together.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, Cosmic Caveman and the Volcano Worshippers. It's on Kickstarter right now. We should definitely say that the link is going to be in the description. Noah, was this? My understanding is this is kind of your pet project.
Yeah, I had an idea for this last year, like last spring, and then I've bought so much art from Clint over the last couple of years that I realized this script would fit his style of art really well, and I just wanted to see him draw a comic really bad. I think I got like a shipment of a couple of his sketch cards and realized like I love this guy's art obviously, and I want to see him draw a comic, and I just sort of reached out to him to see if he'd be interested, and that's how Cosmic Caveman was born. I had two script ideas. I sent him the first one. The first one was Cosmic Caveman. He liked that, so we went with that.
Oh, that's awesome. Is the other script idea something that you're kind of keeping in your back pocket? Probably something you don't want to mention too much about right now?
It's Powerpuff Girl fan fiction. That's it. So it's just...
Oh, sign me up.
Yeah, I was figuring you'd like that one too, but, Cosmic Caveman one. But
And Matt, I mean, you and Noah obviously work together a lot, but What is your role in Cosmic Caveman?
So I'm acting as the publisher again for Ageless Press. We're continuing our streak of Noah bringing the books our way. Normally Noah would contact me and say, hey, I'm thinking of this idea, send me some, art, stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. So it's the same formula where Noah finds these projects and these teams, and he brings them to me, and it's a pretty easy yes to say, let's do it. Noah and I have discussed this before. There's probably not a day that doesn't go by that we don't exchange a text or something about some sort of art, movie, or story like that, creating stuff. So it's just sort of part of our normal sort of everyday communications back and forth with each other.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, one thing
I also don't want to do a project without you, Matt. So that's the thing.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like you guys really have your methods down, your systems down, where not every book looks the same. That's not what I mean, because every book looks wildly different in like the best way. But just the whole, like, you're always producing something's always in a stage of development, and like your Kickstarter campaigns are always successful. It's like a really cool rotation you guys have going on.
Yeah, it's been going pretty good. I don't think the plan ever was for this, but we've been doing a lot of all ages books. But they're also, when you say all ages, it's, kids can read them, but parents can read them, adults can read them and enjoy them. So, it's been really good. While we're doing this one, we see sketches for Mossvale too, so we sort of are making plans in the back of our mind, like, we get a couple more pages in, we can, take this to Kickstarter. We did an art book not too long ago with somebody that we work with a lot. It was just pretty easy to make these decisions. So, it's either something is we're shipping something, we're taking something to some sort of crowdfunder. A Kickstarter is our method of choice, and then we have stuff that's in various stages of production in the background, like I said, Mossvale. I would guess, and I'm kind of hopeful that maybe Mossvale 2 will be our next book, but that's all dependent on how things shape out and stuff like that, because we're all, working day jobs during the day, and when we get home, or if we're working from home, we close the work laptop and we open up the personal laptop and get started on our projects there. So yeah, it's just just the way we're doing things. So I'll let the other guys talk because I've been talking for a bit.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, go ahead, Noah.
Clint had an interesting interaction earlier today with someone asking about it being like all ages, and I never got back to you, Clint. How did you respond to that? Did you curse them out?
Oh yeah, all words. No, I usually try to, because I never view all ages as kiddie. I think it's like Walt Disney said something like, if you make good movies, good films for everyone, you got a large audience. So pretty much told her it was just pretty much a Samurai Jack episode and be fine.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I would have. I was joking with you earlier, but it is for everyone. It's a book that I want to read. Is basically what it is. So if it's for all ages, maybe, but it's definitely for me. I think that's what it comes down to. So if I could have just paid $3,000 just to read this book, I would have, but I don't have $3,000 to spend on Cosmic Caveman.
Was the interaction, was someone asking, is this okay for kids, or were they assuming it was only for kids?
I think they had been looking for books that would appeal to a younger audience. And so, there's tons of comics out there, and, there's an audience for everyone, but there's certain things you don't necessarily want to put in front of your kids. So I kind of like that our book you can give it to your grandpa or your little niece, and it'd be good.
Yeah.
The artwork and the style and just like kind of the crazy cast of characters reminds me of like the Saturday morning cartoons when I was growing up, because it was just like they would throw anything out there just to see what would stick, and like, hey, let's run with it.
Yeah, I think we haven't talked about it a lot since the first podcast that Matt and I were on promoting the show. But there's a lot of like Hanna-Barbera inspiration to this book just because of growing up. Yeah, for me, like I watched Scooby-Doo and Johnny Quest a lot, and like reruns of those shows. And so that was obviously like those were some of my favorite cartoons, but then definitely Samurai Jack, anything by Gendy Tartakovsky, and like sort of classic Justice League. Bruce Timm Justice League, and Batman the Animated Series. Those cartoons for me were sort of always in the back of my mind while I was writing the script or writing the outline for the script. Yeah,
that's really cool too. Yeah. I was just saying that like inspiration train, it was even like you started at the more, I'm not knocking any of the cartoons, but like a simpler, like a Hanna-Barbera cartoon is very surface level, and you get a little bit deeper, and then into like Batman the Animated Series, are like, man, they're really taking this serious. So to bring that into your writing, like carrying it in adulthood, you could definitely see the trajectory, which is really cool.
Yeah, well, I think those shows were so formative to me as a kid creatively, because I remember like I hadn't like watched like something like Indiana Jones or anything like that, where you watched the hero get beaten down, before they were able to like overcome whatever obstacle was in front of them. And I remember watching the Justice League cartoon and having it blow my mind that Superman got knocked out. Like during a fight, just like
they're always knocking him out.
Like that doesn't happen. Yeah, I know. And I was just like, but that's Superman. You can't knock him out. As a kid, thinking that's cool that he's able to get up from that. That like he's able to get beaten down and then fight the bad guy or save the person, whatever. Despite that, there's definitely a lot of that in this book, more so than like. But also, I wanted this sort of pulpy feel of like Johnny Quest as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. That must have been so fun to write.
Yeah, it is fun. Yeah, I'm still in the process of writing and revising it, but it's fun.
So, what is the actual like day-to-day work production on the book like? Are you page by page, and you're a couple pages behind, or is it a little bigger of a gap?
We've only got 5 pages done, so right now, like what it was is I wrote like the first couple pages and sent it to Clint, and then. Hopefully, as soon as we get it funded, I'll finish the script. I'm in the process of finishing the script. I'll send that over to Clint. Once the funds are there, and I'll pay him, and he'll finish the book. Clint, you can talk about it, like your time frame with like working on the script a little bit. But I think our conversation started about a year ago. I sent you a script and character design descriptions, and I just sort of gave him that. And he ran with that and like sort of worked on that through the fall and the winter time. But yeah, Clint, you can talk more about your process there.
I'm ready to go on the rest. It's a fun book. I think it'll be pretty quick because now we've got all the characters pretty much there. It's just continuing on what's there. With working a day job and everything, I'm carrying that iPad everywhere. So we're in the car. I think we joked on another one about drawing at stoplights. You know, you do what you can.
And I wasn't
yeah,
joking
I'm
about
ready.
drawing on the toilet.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dude, that's the best place.
Yeah, it's quiet.
So how was the early stages? Because no, it seems like you really had a specific vision for it, and then Clint, you come in as the artist. Was there a lot of just like one-offs of like, let's get the character right before we tackle page one?
No,
yeah, I think so.
Because I love Clint's work so much.
Oh, okay.
Like I just like he sent me character designs, and I was like, I love it. I think we had like we did have some back and forth discussions about character designs. And you go ahead, Clint. I interrupted you.
You had given me like some kind of where to pull inspiration from. I think you had sent me like 80s movies. I can't remember what you exactly sent me, but it's been a while now. But I knew I didn't want it to be the typical like what's already been done for Cavemen, and like we've talked before, Primal's out. I didn't want to copy any of that, but I think we've kind of landed on this. He's a caveman, but he also feels very cosmic at the same time. So,
and Clint, with you being the artist, you're layouts, pencils, inks, colors the whole way across.
Oh yeah.
Wow,
Did it all.
That's a
There's
lot.
some really cool variant covers though that we got. I really like those.
Oh, that's cool. You brought another artist.
I don't know their names. I'm gonna butcher their names. So no.
Yeah, Matt can talk about them because I basically just poached them all from him, except for Travis. But I still, even on his cover, I poached an artist from Matt. So yeah, Matt can talk.
Yeah,
about the
we're
artists on there.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky. We brought Travis Wells, the artist of Mossvale, back. His is colored by Ertan Sehan, who is out of Turkey. I've worked with him on a number of projects. He's worked with Travis before, coloring his covers. We got Gonzalo. I always say Gonzalo Ruggieri. He's worked for Image, Behemoth. He and I are working on some stuff. He did a cool cover, and then we also have Ertan did his own covers. That's correct, right, Noah? Art and color. So yeah. Yeah,
Ertan was really funny because I asked him to color Travis's cover, and Ertan and I have worked together as long as Matt and I have worked together, because Matt and I've not just drawn comics for Matt, like I've lettered and edited and things like that, and formatted things for him. And so Ertan was funny. I sent him the cover for Travis to get colored, and he's like, you know what? I'm a pretty good artist myself. Basically, what his messages was, and he's like, I could do a heavily illustrated cover for you. And I love that he phrased it that way, like heavily illustrated. And when you look at his cover, you know exactly what he means. It's heavily illustrated. And he did he did his cover, and it was amazing.
It's really cool. There was no direction, but there was a lot of leaping and striking in all the variant covers, and it was just, I think the subject matter, obviously, a volcano, caveman with a club that leads to that, but all the guys have their own unique takes on it. But it's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Were these
because we only had the first 5 pages. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all right. I was about to ask if the variant artist, did you give them the first 5 pages that you had done?
Yeah. We gave them the first 5 pages, and that's sort of like, so all of them did a variation of the first fight scene in those 5 pages. Eric Tan actually wanted to do a scene preceding the fight. So it was like, it's Crad, the Cosmic Caveman, running away from the raptors that he beats up, which is really cool. I think what also sort of set the mood for it was Clint's cover, because Clint did the first cover. Like, he did the inks on that one, and he did like a Drew Struzan-esque beautiful cover. And then Alfred Cabillon, who we've had color a lot of our stuff in the past, colored that and like sort of brought out the painterly elements to it. And Clint can talk more about that, like how you tried to, like, you kind of like tried to fit a lot of the story beats into that cover, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if we had actually said Drew Struzan, or if you just said movie poster, and that's what I thought of. So I went straight to Drew Struzan-esque movie posters, and I just crammed it full. It was a lot of fun. I really like it, and I like the colors too. It pops. So.
Yeah, I like what Noah said, that the cover tells the whole story. But when I look at it, each day when I look at it, it's like, all right, today I'm really focused on these dinosaurs over here, or the the caveman. It's just each day you can find something new in it. Even though you look at it each day, just something new calls to you to look at.
It was a lot of fun. My nephews were looking at it the other day, and they kept going like, "Who's this guy?" And I was like, "He's a good guy. He's one of the friends." And he's like, "Well, who's this guy over here?" And I'm like, "You'll have to read. It's a bad guy."
So, that's so great.
So it's working already.
Man, that's the best input to have right there from kids. Like, I just because we obviously had that discussion about it being all ages. It's not really for one specific age group, but when a kid gives you input on something, they're being honest. Because it's just like they're
not interested. They're not interested.
yeah. So that means the world to me when a kid says that they like it. That's great.
We'll also be excited about it because then you kind of get that sense of energy. You can kind of like watching a movie in the theater. You feed on that energy of other people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like going to see Across the Spider-Verse. I took my niece to go see it, and her just excitement for that, but also the other kids in the audience. That's a lot. Like, that means a lot, when you're, that excitement is infectious. So, but we've had that at conventions too, like, with Mossvale and Dino Thrashers, is that, obviously it's great when anyone picks up one of your books, but if a kid stops and sees it and gets excited, that's like, I don't know. It's like Christmas, if I had kids on Christmas, it'd be like that, I'm guessing. But yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. When you get that emotion that you were looking for in writing the thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you guys want to go a little bit into the Kickstarter itself? Because it looks like it's going well, but what tiers, what offerings there are and all that?
Yeah, Matt, you want to take it away there?
Oh, I'll get it started, and then Noah, how about you take it over? Obviously, the easiest thing is digital copies, physical copies of the book. And then you could enter in any number of the variant covers that you want. We always try to make digital copies really, affordable. Mm-hmm. I hate it when somebody is like, I can only back your book at the digital level. I'm like, please don't apologize. Like, we're just happy to see that backer number go up. It's all about how many people we can get to see it. So, we start off with the normal stuff, digital copies, physical copies. And then Noah, do you want to talk about some of the extras, because you were very involved in working those out?
Yeah, I mean, this time around we brought back Lewis, the Shadow Rabbit clay guy, and he did sculptures on Mossvale for us, and he's awesome. And he's got 3 levels of sculpture, where he's got a 3-inch sculpture, like a 6-inch, and then like a really big one. And so you can back it at each of those tiers. They're priced differently, but you get a cool thing no matter what. And Matt and I were on a live stream with Lewis a couple of weeks ago, and he sculpted a really cool 3-inch Crad, the Caveman, and it was awesome. And he did it fast too, and it was just
and he's such a nice guy.
Yes.
Yeah. It's crazy when we have Lewis on something, because we'll be talking and you'll see him. And in like a 20-30 minute interview, this piece of clay turns into this, masterpiece of a figure. The shapes, the colors, all the sort of the proportions are right. Just how quickly he does it and how good he is at it. It's pretty cool.
So
that is
amazing.
awesome. It's so much more visual interest than the 4 of us staring at our screens.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But then Clint is doing commissions as well, and Clint can talk about that.
Yeah, there's a sketch card commission tier. I think there's 2 spots left. Love doing those. They're very fun. And then there's also an 8x10 full color commission tier if you want to do those. There's still several of those left, but there's only 2 of the sketch cards. So if you're interested in that.
And the Kickstarter page has lots of examples of Clint's work that he's done. So if you want to sort of get a feel of what you're going to get, there's a great representation of that there.
The sample pages you guys have up there too, you really get the feeling of what this book is going to be. Like, you could practically hear the very 80s inspired soundtrack in the background just when you're looking at them.
I want some synth drums if there was going to be like a soundtrack.
Yeah, it would have to be something
just pretty cool,
crazy like that with a bunch of sound effects layered in.
like a lot of times they talk about like if you go to like a bookstore. I know that everybody sort of gets their stuff online now, but sort of when we would go to a brick and mortar bookstore, it was like you had to catch the reader in those first couple of pages as they're flipping through. So I think it's really important for a comic and a Kickstarter, those preview pages to excite you and tell you what the story is about. Not that it's a bad thing, but if you have a comic that's maybe a police procedural and people are sort of interrogating each other, that's exciting in the book, but that might not be really like something exciting to put out for to attract readers. So there's action. You kind of know exactly what the story is about in those first 5 preview pages.
And Clint really wanted to do the police procedural scene. Because and I was like, Clint, you could just save it. Like we'll get to the heavy dialogue stuff, which is the most of the book. After that, it's just 2 people in a room talking.
5 pages of action, 20 pages of talking.
Issue 3 is Crad, being interrogated and flipped by some cosmic law enforcement unit.
Yeah.
Crad passes the bar exam.
Yeah, that's what everyone's signing in for. Matt, you sent a preview you have. If you want to just touch on that for a minute while we're here.
Yeah, so related to the stuff that Noah and I work on, currently in previews from Red 5 Comics, there is a series called Dying Days that I wrote and created. And again, I relied on Noah to letter it. That's currently in previews right now. Issue 1 has a final cutoff order of July 18th, 2023. It's I'm pretty excited about it. Actually, today I got copies of the variant cover. That's going to be a San Diego Comic-Con. I guess I'm going the wrong way. San Diego Comic-Con exclusive that Gonzalo did. So that ties into Cosmic Caveman again. One of the variant artists helped out here. So yeah, Noah and I, first time being in the previews catalog, and mid-September we'll be on shelves in comic stores. So that's pretty awesome. Exciting.
Yeah, I'll put that link in the comments or the show description too for anyone listening.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Yeah, we have Clinton on one of those, Matt.
For sure.
Clint to do some Dying Days stuff.
Dude, I love drawing.
Yeah, I can tell.
Clint, what are you working on while you wait for the Kickstarter?
I've just been actually just goofing off right now, and I've been drawing these Marvel villains. So there's like the Green Goblin, and then there's a Magneto.
Oh, I love that Magneto.
Krang, but he doesn't look like Krang until I color him. So, or not Krang, Kang.
Yeah.
I'll get kicked out of the comic industry.
Yeah.
And then I'm working on this one right now. It's a scroll.
Oh, that's great.
So,
yeah, those are awesome.
Are those traditional?
Yeah, I'm trying to dip into the ink because I become lazy with my iPad. So it's all ink.
What I like about your art, though, is that your inks, traditional or not, very similar. I like that you have a nice flow, like, with both traditional and digital art, where you can tell that it's your art no matter what.
Thanks. Now, if you drink coffee, give up on traditional. Don't do that. Take a break because you get those jitters. You can't do it.
There's no undo.
Oh yeah, I do that a lot. I hit the Control Z or double tap, and I feel like an idiot. But I do that all the time. I did it just last night.
I've done it with spreadsheets before. I'm like, oh, that doesn't. The 2-finger tap doesn't fix my spreadsheet at work.
I did it on I screenshotted something and I was trying to circle something for someone to look at, and I didn't circle it correctly, and I tried tapping that. So it's not as bad as I guess your computer or something like that, but I think I stood there for a couple seconds tapping my phone trying to undo it until I realized you can't do that. Yeah,
developing that muscle memory.
Yeah.
And Clint, you work all in Procreate, is that right?
Yeah, it depends on what I'm doing. I'm trying to experimenting with doing the traditional inks and then taking that into Photoshop. That's been fun. It gives it more of an organic feel, I think. But depending on how much time I have, sometimes I'll just go straight Procreate, sketch in there, ink. I'm married, so spend time with my wife, and sometimes we watch Seinfeld while I sit there on my iPad. It's better than just being in my room like it's a dungeon, not talking to her. I can get in trouble if I do that.
And Noah, I think you were telling me you switched to Procreate too, didn't you?
I think that he has, since that he's gone to the iPad.
Yeah, I think you're saying it's faster on the iPad. Was that what you found too, Clint?
I had like a Wacom, however you say it. I had that for the longest time, and you have to be home to work on it usually. Mm-hmm. So I eventually got the iPad, and it was a game changer for me. I drew a lot more since I got the iPad because I just had more options and I could carry it anywhere. So if anybody's on the fence about getting one, it's great. Procreate's great. I think it's like $10.
And Noah is gonna
awesome.
act as the letterer again for this book. So
okay, cool.
He'll have Noah, do you anticipate maybe you'll be sprucing up the dialogue once you have a chance to do the lettering, or you hope that it's going to be from the script straight to the page?
I think I'll definitely be using the lettering as a second chance to rewrite my script. Yeah, which I've done a lot of, like even with the first 5 pages.
Yeah, that draft is never done when you have the access to it.
Noah is like the biggest Renaissance man that I know. Like does everything. When y'all were talking about the soundtrack, I was like, I bet Noah's gonna bust out a soundtrack.
I wish. So what's funny was right before we hopped on, Travis Wells, the guy who does Mossvale, was sending me songs that he had written and recorded, like all himself. And I was like, it's like that's not fair. I was like, you can't be good at 2 things. I'm only good at 1-ish. Yeah, so it's no. But Clint, you're writing and drawing a book right now, Mr. Renaissance.
I'm trying,
yourself.
But my writing compared to your writing is like a child. So I think visually it's hard for me to write words. Usually when I write my own comics, few words, mostly action. So don't expect a police drama for me.
That's a muscle like anything else.
I'm
Matt,
excited to see whatever
something that you like wrote for 3,300 days in a row or something like that?
Yeah, I recently that streak got broken, but
oh, that hurts.
It's okay. I kind of reached a point where I was kind of burnt out, so I just kind of let it go and figured, hey, pretty soon I'll just start up another streak. But yeah, for about 5, maybe 6 years, I wrote at least 4 pages a day. Now, when I say 4 pages, they were very sparse. It might be like, character A and character B are robbing a bank and they're on their way out, and on their way out, they realize that like one of them is a, informant for the police. So like they weren't very detailed, but it was just a way to like structure a page and put some story elements together. So hopefully I can get back on that. But yeah, for somebody who I can draw a little bit, but most of my time is just trying to create ideas and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll have to get back to it, but it was a good 5-6 years of every day.
That's excellent though.
Christmas and like Thanksgiving, I would always make sure that Thanksgiving I would make sure that I got it done early, or like set a reminder on my phone on Christmas to make sure that I would do it. So those were hard days to remember to do it. So
yeah. I'm sure that you had to have felt the benefit though, because I know for me, like when we work on it, because I'm doing so much of one thing and then switching gears to another thing, and I haven't written in our scripts for our comic in like 2 months because I've been coloring and doing our website and the social media and all that. Mm-hmm. And now my partner in the comic is catching up to the script, so I have to start writing again. And when I do, it's like, who are these people? Like, what's the feel of it? Like, you have to kick the rust off every time. It's just no good.
Yeah, and sometimes for me, I would do a couple of things. I would do when I was in that groove, I would do a brainstorm, a pitch for an existing character. I still have this dream, but I hope that one day, like, the elevator doors will open at a con and Jim Lee will walk in and he'll be like, "Pitch me on Nightwing," and I'll be like, "Pitch you on Nightwing? I have 37 pitches here for you."
Hand him a phone book.
Yeah, so it would one of the things would come to me easier, and just sort of get me started. So some days it was the brainstorming, some days it was the writing, some days it was like, hey, let me try to create a storyline involving Moon Knight or something like that. So some days it's easier. So I know what you're saying about how, like, you're like, hey, who are these people, and stuff like that. But it's also good sometimes to step away and then come back to that thing that you used to think was crap, and then, like, you come back to it 10 days, 2 weeks later, and you're like, actually, it's not as bad as I initially thought it was, but sometimes it is as bad as you
Right.
thought it was. But
I find that for the revisions, if I like finish a script and try to start revising it immediately, it's almost like you're just continue writing. Where if you step away from it for like a week or two, some parts it's like, I don't remember writing this as hilarious, or I don't think I wrote this because it's like an idiot did it. Like, what is this?
yeah, there's a Neil Gaiman quote, and I'm not sure if I know it exactly, but it's basically, you can't have a second draft without a shitty first draft. So, like, either that vomit draft or that, like, let me get these thoughts out and these ideas out, because I can't have second draft unless I commit to getting something down and trying to formulate an idea, which is sometimes the blank page, the blinking cursor is pretty scary.
Yeah, that's a good point too. We digress there a little bit, but I'm always happy to talk shop, especially like you guys are just doing it at such a higher level than most indies who are just kind of like, on Saturday for 2 hours, you draw a little bit. You guys have a book coming out every week, it feels like.
Adam, you've got like how you were talking about this last month. You've got like 15 books in the pipeline, like
issue
like
12
you've
is ready
got,
to come
like,
out. I just
issue
ordered
12?
it. I'm coloring 13 and he's
Yeah.
drawing 14. But we went
Awesome.
almost a year without an
Yeah,
issue coming
that's
out just because like our
amazing.
personal lives fell apart and it was just hard to get back to it. But we just keep agreeing, like, even if it's slow, do not stop.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
Just sort of that momentum, even like you said, even if it's a little bit, or you do occasionally have to pull back and take some time for yourself, and we're all dealing with circumstances, but, like, sort of knowing that, hey, like, today was a rough day, but tomorrow, 2 weeks from now, I'm gonna get back to it. So
For sure, yeah. It's like coming home to friends. You're back in it, and for me, the coloring is very meditative. So
we've I think Noah and I have talked about this a few times. There's people that are into comics, your Wednesday warriors that, like, go and want to get the story, but then there's a whole other level of people who actually want to make it and make stuff. So you gotta really want it and be into it, to be a creator. And it's difficult to put yourself out there, because sometimes it's crickets, or sometimes it's like, hey, this thing that I thought was going to resonate with people really didn't resonate with people. But you got to keep trying.
For sure. Yeah, that's really good advice. Guys, I appreciate you taking the time to come on. I'm going to get this out or up tomorrow, I'm hoping, at the time of recording, because then you still have almost a week on your Kickstarter. Give people some time over the weekend and all that to find it.
Thanks. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I always appreciate you guys coming on, and I almost forget that we're like doing
much.
an interview, and it's just like, oh, cool, we get to hang out tonight.
Yeah, and hopefully, Constructing Comics pretty soon can catch up on social studies.
Yeah, we got to do that for sure. Have to.
Nice.
But we'll reach out to you guys on that one. So thank you, Clint. Nice to meet you. The artwork looks
nice
awesome.
to meet you. Thank you.